Hello, everybody. Thanks for joining. I'm going to get started. This piece is called Grieving My Religion, American Golgotha. Recently, I've been working on a series called Grieving My Religion, which is kind of chronicling the grief process of me coming to terms with all that Christianity has not been in America. And I'm not going to go down the whole story, but if you want to read some of the previous posts, Grieving My Religion, part 1 and part 2, I've actually written 3, 4, and started 5, but I haven't published them yet because I'm still kind of doing some processing work. But this particular one, this video, most of them have been written. All of them have been written. But the reason why I'm doing this video is, one, I find that when I do videos, things emerge that I don't plan and they're just coming out of my mouth. So it's like just straight there without me thinking it over or refining it or anything like that. So that's part of the reason why I'm doing that. And I'm openly grieving my religion because much of my life has been shaped by trying my best to live into the teachings of Christ as I understand them. And to me, these teachings were intended to liberate people, primarily to liberate people from religion. And a lot of people don't have that kind of view. But when I read the scriptures, I've always thought the people that Jesus got pissed off with the most were the religious people. Those are the ones he called the hypocrites. Those are the ones he called liars. Those are the ones he called wolves in sheep clothing and broods of vipers and all sorts of things. And some poop jokes he even said against folks like that, because they had this rigid worldview where they were excluding people. And whenever he told stories, he made the worst people in those societies the heroes of the stories, like the Good Samaritan story. The Samaritan was the person that the religious people despised because they were of mixed blood and things like that. So if you look at the actual trajectory of who the teacher that we call Jesus Christ spoke up for, it was for the people that were despised, that were put down, the people who were left behind, and the people that he put in check were the folks who thought they had it together. He said, I came so that the blind may see and so that the seeing can become blind. And he said to them, because if you really saw, you would want to be blind because you would be operating from faith and not from this BS that a lot of us are functioning from. And over the years, coming from a more strict conservative background and getting pushed out, like every denomination that I've been through up to where I am now has always been almost like a birth. I was pushed out of the womb over and over and over again. Pushed out of the womb wasn't because I was trying to come out. I got pushed out because I was trying to stick to the teachings. And I'm not the only one. Most of the people that I've known who've either abandoned religion or are very hurt by religion were very sincere people who put their heart into trying to live from this love ethic, and then were disappointed by the system and by the structures and all of those things. And most importantly, these traditions took things from people and never replaced them with anything better. And that is harmful. And when we can't name it as being harmful, then we're doing the faith a disservice, and we're doing the humans that is supposed to serve a disservice. And I'm the type of person where I just can't consciously be a part of that. And so I'm continuing to wrestle with this, because the teachings, even when I tried to become an atheist, which I actually did, I actually tried to systemically turn myself into an atheist and tried to pull everything that was religious from me, because I was so hurt by the church that I used to be a part of back in Arizona, and some of the people I knew. And I said, I got to clean myself from this religion because this toxicity is damaging me as a human being. And I did everything I could to pull that away from me, except for I continued to want to love, and I continued to want to see progress. And forgiveness had to be a part of my way of living with or without religion. And the effort to forgive some people that I was harmed by actually brought me back to Christ that was stripped of all the things that had to be fantastical and all those other things. And it brought me into a space where I was like, what are the things that a human can do? What's possible for a human to do? And then when I looked at those things, I looked at history, and when you saw many, many people, I don't think of Jesus like the only Christ. I think Christs have shown up multiple times throughout history, and there's many Christs right now. Some of them might be y'all folks on this line online right now, because there are people who choose to live from love. There are people who choose to live into their professed values. There are people who see things that don't currently exist, and they figure out ways to create those things because they give more life and more abundance. And I'm not talking about financial abundance, but just the flourishing of the human experience. And there's plenty of people that do it all the time. And then sometimes people stand out in such a way that we see them as like a world teacher, like what happened with Jesus. But we can look at other people like Frederick Douglass or Martin Luther King Jr. or Gandhi or other folks who lived despite their failings, because all those people failed and made mistakes, human mistakes as well, but they lived into it the best that they could in the times that they were in. And not everybody had it all together, but they didn't give up trying. And that to me is the Christ spirit. And I think that every single one of us, regardless of religion or no religion, have the capacity to live into that. And that is what I grieve, is because our religions don't teach us that. They don't tell us that. Many of them don't. They rob us of that. They rob us of our imagination. And we don't see what's possible in ourselves and in others because we're too busy trying to avoid going to hell and all this other stuff. And too much of Christianity, sadly, American Christianity is like a really bad timeshare sales pitch where they're like, do this, and then in the future, you get to go in this sweet place and blah, 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 blah. And it's so ignorant. And I'm done with it. So a part of my grieving process is naming it publicly and dealing with the feelings that come up with it and dealing with the consequences of saying it out loud so that I can get more refined in it, what it is that I'm trying to articulate. Now, going back to the title, Golgotha, the American Golgotha, the meaning behind that title is Golgotha was the place that Jesus was killed. So in my mind right now, I'm looking at America as the place where Christianity came to die, because it is so disgraceful and shameful, the displays of what people passes as Christianity in America, that it can be nothing less than a place for the false aspects of this religion to die, because it's so like blatantly pathetic. That is nothing else you can say it. And I'm a person who I read the Bible still every day and pray and meditate on this stuff. And time again, I see very clearly how terribly we represent in a collective, how we represent. And even the people that are quote unquote good Christians, all of us, and I'm not saying in that whole shame, like all fall and short of the glory of God and all that stuff. I'm not talking about that. I'm talking about just when you say the word Christian, people don't think Christ. They think jacked up, judgmental people, and it's for a reason. I just finished reading a letter from a Birmingham jail again yesterday for about the 50th time. Maybe not 50, but a lot of times. And it pains me to see that everything that Martin Luther King wrote in that letter is exactly true today. It's the same Christians that did nothing then that are doing nothing now. And that's a disgrace. But when you lump them all together, it's like the description I came with earlier today is it's a fruit salad. And some of the fruit is good and some of the fruit is bad, but it's in the same bowl. So when people see the moldy, gross fruit with the good fruit, no one wants to eat the fruit salad, or you got to eat around it and take the chance of getting sick. It's gross. But what we can do, there's a saying in the Bible that says, you know a tree by its fruits, but you also can know a tree by its roots. So if you see this gross, bad fruit and you step back and look at where that fruit came from, you can tell whether it was a good tree or a not good tree. And too many of us, we just take what's been given to us. Somebody prepares this fruit salad full of all kinds of some good fruit and some crap fruit, and we just take it. And we don't try to say, hey, man, this is gross. I'm not eating this. Let me back up because I think fruit's good. I want to eat some good fruit. Let me back up and see where the heck this fruit came from and then go to the source myself. But not none of us, very few of us do that. So many of us take what somebody gives. I don't know. I've been teaching the scriptures for a long time. I don't know how many people don't know jack that's in the Bible. And they say they're Christians or whatever they say they are, and they don't know anything that's in there. Why say you're Christian? You don't have to be one. It's like we don't study it. We don't try to understand. We take something somebody told us, usually when we were little kids, and we use that same mindset today. And we miss out on a complete liberating teachings that are supposed to set us free, to help us experience ourselves and others more fully. But we're not having that experience. If you're a part of something that doesn't make you experience yourself more fully and see the fullness in others better, what's the point of being a part of it? There's no point to it. Is useless. And that's what I experienced with Christianity in America. It's useless. I'm sorry. It is useless unless the person can go and take those teachings and help them be better. And that's something you got to do in your individual experience. And even if you don't subscribe to a religion, you still can subscribe to the ethics that are outlined in the religion, because it's about relating to other people and yourself more fully. Even in the Bible that nobody reads, it says that there are people who are religion unto themselves. And those people who are religion unto themselves, they literally, it says in the Bible, they don't need laws to tell them to do this or not do that, because they have love. And if you love your neighbor, you won't steal from them. You won't murder them. You won't oppress them. You won't put them in jail. You won't do the things that you do if you have love. The whole point of it is love. So if your religion doesn't help you become more loving, it even says in the Bible that your religion is useless. It says in the Bible, if you see somebody that's starving and you have the opportunity to feed them and you don't do anything, your religion is worthless. It says worthless. So many things that we face day in and day out in this very, very broken system that is led by people who lie and say they're Christians, but don't read their book, tells them everything that they're doing that they shouldn't be doing is in the book. But they pull things from pre-Jesus and and just so many things. And the lack of knowledge. I'm not saying you need to know. I'm saying if you don't know, say I don't know. Or look it up and try to find out for yourself. Just like abortion in Numbers, in this Old Testament / Hebrew Bible, there's a prescription on how to give a person an abortion. But we fighting over abortion for what? It's like not even a thing, bro. It's not even a thing. It's something that some folks made up in the 1980s, 79, 80, as a thing to fight over because they never thought they were going to win. And they use it as a thing to draw people together, the moral majority. It's not even a real thing. It's not even a real thing. Literally in the Bible, in Numbers, they say that if a man gets the spirit of jealousy, which is also patriarchal BS, but the man gets the spirit of jealousy and just thinks that his wife cheated, he can make her take this thing called the bitter water and drink it. And if she didn't cheat, then she'll be able to keep the baby. But if she did cheat, then she will have a miscarriage. That's an abortion cocktail in the Bible. And we still have an argument over abortion when the Bible gives a prescription on how to give one, and don't even say anything about all the baby killing and all the other crazy crap that happens in the Hebrew teachings or something like that, because it was not more about it's so much about what God wanted. It was people's interpretations of God. That's what it's about. People's interpretations. And even if you keep reading later in the same books, it says all the sacrificing and all that stuff, I never wanted that from you. So all that to say, I know I'm rambling, but all that to say is there's so little that we know. And yet here we are arguing over things that don't need to be argued over if people just read. And even if we didn't read it, if we just checked in on our hearts and just loved, we would know what was true and what isn't true. Because the whole point of this thing is love, which the Bible also says. The Bible says, if you say you love God, who you can't see, and hate your brother or sister, who you can see, then you are a liar and the truth isn't in you, because God is love. That's in the Bible. That's like, I feel stupid even saying this to folks, because I feel like we shouldn't even have these arguments, because you literally can look it up. But if people studied it on their own, or even if they got in arguments with people who say they know stuff, but they don't really, and you look it up yourself, we got a freaking internet, and you can look it up. And you could tell these people who don't know what they're talking about, because I've been in almost every freaking denomination you can be in. You can, but even if they say something that sounds like they know what they're talking about, because they can say this scripture and this verse, it's always another scripture and another verse that says the other thing. Because the Bible is also like a fruit salad that's got good stuff and bad stuff. But if you have discernment, then you can be able to read and understand what is the human struggle to understand the divine and the divine that's emerging out of that struggle. But if you don't have discernment, you're going to be a victim to a bunch of people saying a bunch of crap. So that is a whole other exploration that you're gonna have to work on yourself if this interests you. Finally, let me tell you more about Golgotha. Golgotha means the place of the skull. So the place that Jesus died or was crucified is called the place of the skull. That is a metaphor for your mind that this whole struggle of good and evil, right and wrong, love and fear, all these things is something that happens in your consciousness. It's something that happens in your mind. Even if you, like, I went through a phase where I didn't believe anything ever actually happened in the Bible. And I just let me just look at this thing as if, excuse me, it's just something that people made up, but they were trying to convey lessons, just like you get lessons from a movie or something like that. And I gave myself enough space to look at it very as objectively as possible and said, what would be true even if it was made up? Because you can see movies like Avatar or The Matrix or whatever that are all metaphors for things that we experience in the human condition. And you can still draw truth from these metaphors. So I looked at the Bible that way. I looked at everything that seemed like too impossible to fathom, and then looked at the human experience, read from that perspective. And then from that, I drew conclusions. And some of the conclusions I drew were that even if none of this was true, even if Jesus was made up, there would be certain elements that would still be true. Whether there are things that you can witness in nature, or whether you witness in relationships, or whether you witness it in the internal workings of your being. And some of those things are the ideas of conscience, of being able to witness what you do and say, hey, like, do unto others as you would have them do unto you. So simple. If I do something and then I don't like it when it's done to me, then I shouldn't do it to other people. And even if there was no Bible, there was no religion, and it was just that statement, treat people the way you want to be treated, or do unto others as you would have them to do unto you, and you became your own religion, that would be enough to know how to be in the world, because you could be honest and say, hey, I don't like when people do that to me. I'm not going to do that to them. And the world would be a better place. And guess what? The Bible also says that people are their own book. They also say that there's going to come a time where no person will tell another person how to know God, because all will know God from the least to the greatest, and God will remember their sins no more. That's also in the Bible. So if you just drop all of the things and you just know love yourself, know God for yourself, the Bible says there's going to come a time where nobody's going to tell anybody else how to know. So you could skip ahead, forget the book, forget religion, forget all this BS, and just go to the inner workings of your body, your own experience, and the Golgotha up here, the place of the skull, and witness with a conscious awareness of your own experience, and everything that's in those scriptures would be revealed to you. Everything that's true would be revealed to you, because you would be paying attention to your own life. But so many of us, not only do we not pay attention to history, not only do we not pay attention to religion, and we just take whatever somebody gives us and just roll with it, we don't pay attention to our own lives. I don't know how many people do things and have no idea why they do what they do. They're instantly reactive. They believe whatever they were told to believe. I was raised Republican. I ain't a Republican now. I was raised conservative. I'm progressive now. Why? Because I paid attention. I'm not saying that that's the right way to be. What I'm saying is, by paying attention to my own life, having experiences with people, struggling, having relationships, studying, going back and forth, wrestling with stuff, then I was able to get to know myself. And in knowing myself, I could be honest with myself. And in being honest with myself, I could be honest with others. And sometimes people tell me, like, oh man, that's so brave of you to blah, blah, blah. It's not brave to be yourself at all. It's silly not to be yourself, but it's not brave to be yourself. Because how you going to live your whole life and miss out on you? I'm going to say that one again. How are you going to live your whole life and miss out on you? Because when it comes down to it, everything that you're experiencing is happening in your Golgotha, the place of your skull. And if you are not paying attention to your life, as I believe it was Socrates who said, an unexamined life is not worth living, that's pretty accurate. If you live your whole life and you don't experience yourself, you are missing out because you are the gift to your world. Regardless of what you've been through, regardless of what you've done, you are the gift to this world. And you can also be the curse of this world if you don't fully become aware of who you are, why you do what you do, and who you're becoming, and be intentional about it. So in my grief, I also am finding this joy of being able to be myself and to be able to say out loud what I think, regardless of the consequences, not because I'm trying to push buttons or trying to make people feel bad or anything like that, because I want to experience me while I'm here. Because I don't know how long I'm going to be here. As some of y'all know, I lost my brother like not even 2 months ago to murder, and it's very sobering. And all of us are not promised the next second. So how would it be for you to live your life and miss the whole thing? To miss the whole thing because all you're doing is taking what somebody else gives you, not exploring for yourself, not looking for yourself, not challenging anything. Just somebody tells you what life is, you go along with it. Unexamined life, never doing any work in the place of your skull. And that's it. And doing it for what? Even if it's for religion, and they say, well, miss out on your whole life and be a robot because you get this timeshare after you die that's going to be awesome. Huh? What is that? And I'm not saying there's not a heaven or whatever the case may be. I am saying I ain't been there. I'm saying I'm here right now. You know what I mean? I'm here right now talking to people, getting to know people and getting to know myself. That's what this is about. Whatever is happening after this is going to happen after this. But if you're not present here, after this doesn't even matter because you will not have even lived this life. So why are you going to worry about what's going to happen in the life after this? So if I have any other final words for this like explosion of things that I'm saying right now is to pay attention to your life, be honest with what your experience is, allow yourself the very human experience of being able to grieve and acknowledge what has served you and what isn't serving you. And look at that fruit salad of life. Like look in the places of your life where you just been handed a bunch of mess that some is good and some is not good, and work on your capacity to discern because so few of us have discernment, like zero. And I'm not saying this as a jerk. I'm saying this as somebody who I've been through many, many things. And I'm like, I don't like saying some of the stuff I've been through because of our tendency to project on what would if that was me, then I would this, or if I were me, I would do that. But what I can tell you is that I've been on my fair share of fists and feet and abandonment and betrayal and abuse and all of these other things. I've been on the receiving end of those things. But because of love, which has that alchemical power to transform everything into something beautiful, I've been able to keep moving through life. And that is what I would love for other people to experience because it's a joy to be with other people who are awake. It's a joy to be with other people who know that they have the capacity in their mind to transform their experiences for the better and to create new things and new ways of being together. But if we keep just taking what we've been handed and not doing anything better than what was given to us, because where we are right now is just like yesterday because the people who were there then didn't do what they had to do. And so now we're in a moment where we can do better if we choose to. But if we don't, then further down the road, our kids and our kids' kids are going to be dealing with this bullshit. We can do better, but it has to start here. You have to wake up, develop your capacity to discern, know how to. I'm actually saying more than I said I was going to say. I'm about to say a little teeny bit more. Then I'm going to let you go. It also says in the Bible, know when to kick the dust off your feet. And that means if you are with people who cannot hear, they cannot discern, they have zero wisdom, it says to kick the dust off your feet as a testimony against them and to take your peace and go. And we are in a season right now where so many of us are deeply engaged with people who maybe they can do better down the road, but sometimes our presence delays progress. That's another thing I'm going to say again. Sometimes our presence delays progress. Sometimes we put up with people and their BS. And as long as we're there, they just keep on doing it because we become unconscious enablers. And again, even Jesus said to his disciples, it's better for you that I go. And then the Spirit will come and remind you of all things. Well, that is a very natural thing. Have you ever had a person just like right now? My brother died. Now the spirit, if you will, his life, the pneuma, the thing that made him animated, is still here, even though his body is gone, right? And now I'm reviewing life and remembering things. All these things are coming to my memory because he's gone, and I'm reliving some experiences and seeing them in a whole new way. And it's transforming me. And Jesus was basically saying the same thing. And that happens with all of us. When we live our lives fully, when we depart from this place, the fullness of the life we lived remains, and it transforms the environments that we used to inhabit. And people will remember things. And sometimes you don't have to die for that to happen. Sometimes you can just walk away. And when you walk away, people will be like, your presence no longer being there will give them the boost they need, the mental consequence to ask themselves, well, what happened? As long as you're there, they may never do the work. So some people you're going to have to walk away from and see if they do the work later. I've had to tell friends, hey, bro, I can't talk to you anymore. Not because I'm trying to write you off as a horrible person, but this does nothing for you or for me for us to stay in this relationship. And it's got to be done. And some of us need to do that. Some of us have had very horrible family members, very horrible friends. And I know so many people, like white people, not trying to put y'all down or whatever, but I have white friends that have told me like, oh, my dad is racist. And then they tell me some stupid crap that their parents say. And I say, well, did you say anything to them? Oh, no, I just want to keep the peace. That's not keeping the peace. That is postponing peace. That's postponing true peace. We need to stop doing that. We need to, well, I'm not going to do it. I ain't gonna say what y'all need to do or other people need to do. Well, I'm not doing that. So, but if you're a type of person where you want to see things transform, you also got to be a person that doesn't do that anymore. Because this delay that has kept on going and going and going and going and going is because many of us call ourselves keeping the peace, but we really are postponing the peace. And now my rant is almost over, but I got to say one thing to my stupid Christian brothers and sisters. The people, and when I said peace, it made me think about those monks who are doing the walk for peace, and the number of, because of my algorithms, still think that I'm an evangelical because of my past searches. I get to see all the craziness. And so many people were coming out against those monks for peace, who are doing a walk for peace. And that's very ignorant because these people say that they follow the Prince of Peace. That's what they call Jesus, the Prince of Peace. But then when they see people marching for peace, they're going to try to stop them and tell them they're demonic. You got to wake up. You got to wake up and examine, because there's many teachings in the Bible that nobody reads that very much corresponds with a lot of the teachings of Buddhism. You should read Living Buddha, Living Christ by Thich Nhat Hanh, who was friends with Martin Luther King Jr. And let me also say, if you ever actually read Martin Luther King Jr., his mind was far beyond what we think of. People know he was a Christian leader. He was transformed and inspired by Christ, but his mind was way more expansive. He didn't have problems with other religions. He was just an expansive consciousness because his focus was love. And so the focus of love transformed that so that he could see beyond the dogma, and a lot of us, and we're so busy trying to avoid going to hell and trying to get the right answers so we can pass whatever foolish test that we think we got to pass, because we're programmed by the education system that tells you you got to get all the right answers or you're going to fail. And we transpose that onto our religious worldview and think God is a teacher going, oh, you got an F, you're going to hell. That's all ignorant. That's all stupid. That's all childish. That's all elementary. And I'm sorry for saying that way. But even the Bible, that again, nobody reads, talks about the elementary teachings, and that we got to move on beyond the elementary teachings. which many of us don't do. So with that said, this has been a very extensive rant, longer than my other rants, and I can't believe some of y'all stuck around for this. Y'all are saints. That being said, I love you. I honor you. I want you to live as liberated as a life as possible just because it would be fun. I'm not doing it for any reason. I'm not trying to help people not go to hell or to get to heaven or any of those other things. I just want to enjoy being with people who are paying attention and trying to create new things, because if we're not paying attention, we can't create anything new. All we're going to do is keep recycling the old crap over and over and over again. So everything I've said, whatever energy I put out, is all been in service of us slash my own self, creating spaces for people to experience themselves more fully and to live more fully and to break off these shackles that are holding so many of us back and causing us to be the type of people that we don't want to be, instead of being the loving people that we have the capacity to be. So that was a lot. Next video won't be so long. I appreciate your time for being here. Stay tuned for Grieving My Religion Part 3, where I go a little bit deeper into how a lot of pastors go to seminary and then they never teach what they learn in seminary because they're afraid of what will happen with their congregants. So they learn new things and don't do new things. And that's pathetic. So I'm going to get into that. And then I will continue to just kind of process the grieving of my religion. And I'm doing it openly because I want to model that it's okay to question this stuff. It's okay. Don't be afraid of getting struck by lightning. Live your full experience. Live in love. As the Bible also teaches, love fulfills the law. And the law is to treat people the way you want to be treated. Love God with all your heart, mind, and soul, and love your neighbor as yourself. Everything else is just commentary. Peace.